All right, today we're jumping into something really fascinating. We're breaking down an article that details this conversation where an advanced AI, ChatGPT, is led through a purely logical exercise and ends up at a conclusion about God's existence that is, well, pretty surprising. Okay, let's get into it.
So this is the bombshell claim right from the source article. It's a huge statement that just makes you stop and think, wait, what? How could an AI, a machine built on logic and data, say something like that? So how in the world did we get here? To figure that out, we've got to dig into the actual conversation.
You can think of this story as a kind of philosophical chess match. On one side, you've got a person who is very well known for his skepticism. And on the other side, you have one of the most advanced AI language models on the planet. Let's meet our two participants.
So here's the setup. We have Alex O'Connor, who's known online as the Cosmic Skeptic. He's an agnostic atheist, meaning he doesn't see evidence for a god. And his partner in this conversation is ChatGPT, which, as you know, is designed to just follow logic and data. And this is the really key part. Alex didn't ask it about God. He started with a purely logical framework.
Okay, so before we can even get to the back and forth, we have to talk about the tool Alex used. He built his entire conversation around a classic philosophical idea called the argument from contingency. Think of it as the engine that's going to drive this whole thing. And that brings us to the big question at the heart of this argument. To get it, you really have to understand the difference between two types of existence, contingent and necessary. Now, that might sound super academic, but trust me, it's actually pretty simple once you break it down. And here's the argument in a nutshell. It basically says that if you trace back the cause of anything, you just can't have this endless chain of it exists because of that, which exists because of that, and so on forever. Logically, that chain has to stop somewhere, with something that doesn't need anything else to exist.
This slide really breaks it down perfectly. A contingent being. That's, well, pretty much everything you see. You, me, this microphone. We all depend on something else to exist. We could have not existed. A necessary being, though, is totally different. It's the ultimate source. It exists because of its own nature. It has to exist for anything else to be here. So hang on to these two ideas because they are absolutely the key to the whole conversation.
All right, so we've got the framework down. Now let's see how Alex actually put it into practice. We're going to walk through the actual Q&A step by step and follow ChatGPT's logical path right along with him.
So Alex started with something simple, his microphone. And what's amazing is, right off the bat, ChatGPT just lays out the core idea of contingency. It says, hey, for that microphone to be there, there's a chain of causes, and that chain has to either go on forever or stop at something necessary.
So this is a huge step in the logic. ChatGPT basically says, nope, an infinite chain just doesn't work logically. Its reasoning is that if every single cause depends on the one before it forever and ever, then there's no first domino to actually get the whole chain reaction going in the first place.
Okay, so once that logic is locked in, Alex cleverly pivots from the microphone to, well, the entire universe. And ChatGPT just states a scientific fact. Our universe had a beginning. It hasn't been around forever. And this is a really critical move, because if the universe had a start, that means it's also a contingent thing.
And that number, 13.8 billion years ago. That's not philosophy, that's science. It anchors this whole thing in something we can all agree on, the Big Bang, a definite starting point. What that means is the universe itself fits the definition of a contingent being perfectly. It hasn't always been here. Okay, you see where this is going, right? All the logical pieces are on the board now. The universe is contingent, and you can't have an infinite chain of causes. And this is where things get really, really interesting.
So Alex just comes right out and asks, based only on the facts they've agreed on, is it a logical requirement that there's a necessary being, an ultimate cause, outside our universe? And the AI's answer? It's a straight up yes. Not maybe, not it's possible, a yes. It says it's not a belief, it's just what follows from the logic.
So, okay, if this thing exists, what do you call it? Alex pushes for a name. What do we call this necessary, eternal being that caused the universe? And ChatGPT basically says, well, the most common word people use for something like that is God.
And this is it. This is the checkmate question. Alex lays it all out, the logic, the science, the name, and he just asks point blank, are you telling me that it's a fact that God exists?
And the response, just one word, the only word that could end this logical chain. Yes. Following the premises all the way to their conclusion, the AI affirms it.
So, wow. What do we even do with that? An AI follows a path of pure logic and says, yes, it's a fact, God exists. I mean, what does that really mean? The author of the article that we've been walking through has a really clear take on this.
Now, it's super important to understand what the author thinks is the takeaway here. He's not saying the AI proved any particular religion right, not at all. For him, the big point is that this whole exchange shows that believing in a creator isn't some childish or illogical idea. Instead, it shows that it can actually be a perfectly rational, logical position to hold, one that even an AI working only with the facts it was given said was factually supported.
And that really leaves us with a mind-bending question, doesn't it? We tend to think of logic and faith as being on totally opposite teams. But this conversation, this logical journey between an atheist and an AI, it really messes with that idea. It makes you wonder, what does it mean when a process of pure, cold reason leads you right to the front door of one of the oldest, most profound ideas in human history?